Hello, Year 11. Reminder to do silence solo for 10 minutes on question 1. When you have had your 10 minutes, please restart the video. I'm hoping now you've had your 10 minutes and we are going to have a look at that question now. So you're focusing today on extended response questions, specifically in biology. We're going to give the focus of non-communicable diseases, specifically CHD, coronary heart disease, as the focus today. But we're really looking at how to answer extended response questions. Those are 6-mark questions that aren't necessarily linked to a practical. And there is a knack to doing that. So you started off with 2 subject knowledge area questions, and we'll work through those first to build up enough detail to actually answer the extended response. So let's have a look at question 1. So question 1A asks you what a non-communicable disease is. And the key point there is non. Okay. So this is not communicable. So it's also noticed worth 2 marks. So you have to say 2 points. Now, when students answered this question previously, many students scored 1 mark out of 2 because they didn't make the second point. So a lot of students identified communicable, so people. So they identified in this specific case that it is not, because it's not passed from person to person. So that's the communicable aspect, person to person, community. You could have used other words. So you could have used the word spread instead of passed. You could have actually incorporated that entire sentence into not infectious or not contagious. And that would have also been okay. But exactly what is it that it isn't, I should say. So we know it's not passed from person to person. So what it is also not, for the second mark, is not caused by a pathogen. Now, that would probably be the most appropriate word to use in that sentence, although there are many other words you could have chosen to use. So what I'm going to do now in blue is I'm just going to identify other ways you might have said the same thing. So you could instead have described a pathogen. So instead you could have said a pathogen is a microorganism or microbe. You could have actually listed all the types of microorganisms that are most common. So the 3 most common, so to be listed. So that's bacteria, virus, and fungus. And specifically, they're viruses, bacteria, fungus, or collectively microorganisms that cause infections. So as you can see, it's probably way easier just to write the word pathogen, which describes all that. But if you did write either microorganism that causes infections or bacteria and virus and fungus that causes an infection, you could have actually had that answer instead. All right, so let's have a look at the next question. So here we've got a coronary artery of someone with coronary heart disease. So make sure if they're giving you a diagram, you're actually using that diagram. So let's have a look what this diagram shows us. So first of all, it's identifying an artery wall. So artery, so it's a blood vessel. And it travels away, or specifically it flows blood away from the heart. Just a bit of revision there. We've also got fatty material here. So effectively, the blood should normally flow through this entire area. But as you can see, this area here is no longer available for blood to flow through. So there's a much smaller area the blood can actually flow through. So less or reduced blood flow. So that's the sort of information I'm getting from the diagram. So let's have a look at the question now. What are they actually asking us? So explain how coronary heart disease can cause a heart attack. Well, I've got to explain there. So we can't just state what coronary heart disease is. We've got to explain how one thing can lead to another. So this is a cause. So this happens, which causes this, which causes this. And ultimately, the end of that is the heart attack. So how can CHD, which is shown in the diagram, ultimately cause a heart attack? So it's a flow of information to get there. Now, when you're unsure about how much information to include in there, it's a 3-mark question. So 3 flows of information. So first of all, we've got to state what the issue with coronary heart disease is. So we've got the information from the diagram there. Then how that causes something that can cause a heart attack. So first of all, we're going to make that point, what it states in the diagram. So the fatty material, apologies there. The fatty material reduces blood flow. Now it does that, but this, remember, is about a heart attack, so to the heart. So yes, it may well cause lack of blood flow to elsewhere in the body if there's fatty deposits in other places, but this question is about the heart. So keep coming back to the heart all the time. So what's the consequence? So if you've got less blood flow, just think about the purpose of blood moving around the body is to transport material. So specifically what we need this to transport is oxygen and glucose. So there's going to be less oxygen and or glucose, it doesn't matter if you put both, can reach the heart. So again, keep bringing it back to the question. So if less blood's getting to the heart, less oxygen's getting to the heart. But again, what's the ultimate question here is, how does this cause a heart attack? Well, the heart attack has to talk about right back to the cells in the heart. If you've got less oxygen, then that means the cells of the heart haven't got the oxygen to respire, hence the heart attack. So that's the last bit. So the heart cells cannot respire, hence your heart attack. Superb. All right, let's have a look at the last question, which is the key focus of this particular one. This is ultimately a 6-mark question. The remaining lines are on the back of your piece of paper. So this is the type of question that comes up all the time in biology. It's not related to a practical, but it's often got 2 key parts to the question. So it's explain how lifestyle and medical factors increase the chance of developing CHD. Remember, we've built up our knowledge of CHD through the question. So how might one thing and another affect the chance of developing CHD? So for this particular one, the key point here is understanding the and. If you either put lifestyle or medical risks, you can limit the number of marks you get. If you put lifestyle and in a separate location, medical risks, you get slightly more marks, but you still can't get full marks. To get full marks, you need to link the lifestyle and the medical risks together to talk about how they develop CHD. So really, it's the point of linking these 2 together. That's how you're going to get the full marks. Added to that, we've got an explain. Okay, so we want some form of connective in there. So in the question above, we had explain. We use the word so, or causes, the consequence. So we need to think of a linking word here, and that'll become apparent as we use it. Usually it's because, in all fairness. So let's have a think now about what lifestyles and medical factors can affect coronary heart disease. Now, this is unfortunately got to come from your knowledge. So this is where you have to actually memorize and revise specifically for this exam. So lifestyle. We have, I'm just going to put 3 down. There are more than 3, but just for time's sake, I'm going to put 3. So smoking, obesity, and I'm going to put lack of exercise. There are other factors such as high-fat diet, insufficient fruit in your diet, excessive amount of alcohol, high salt intake, air pollution exposure, genetic factors. There's quite a apologies, not genetic factors, air pollution exposure, apologies for that one. All types of lifestyle factors that can affect your chance of developing CHD. Let's look at the medical risks. So you're more likely to suffer from coronary heart disease if you have high blood pressure. If you have high cholesterol. If you have diabetes. Again, there are others. So certain medications you take, certain genetic factors you may have. So I've just listed a couple there, mainly for time constraints, but just to get the point across. Now, really what we want to do is match the two together. So in each explanation, we want to, it's a 6-mark question, so you probably want to do 3 matches. So 3 lifestyles matched to 3 medical risks at least. So I'd go with a sentence. In this case, I'm going to go 3 lifestyles and link those to medical risks. So I'll give you an example of one. So we could say, we'll start with smoking. So now I've taken one of my lifestyles. So remember, I want to link these, linking it to the question as well as the medical risks. So smoking increases the chance of developing CHD. And I've literally just copied that bit there. Because, so there's my linking word. And now let's link it to the medical factors. If you're smoking, what medical factors does that link to? Well, people who smoke generally have, because it can lead to high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. That would be an example. So I've taken a lifestyle factor and I've linked it to medical factors. In this case, I picked 2. Okay, so I was confident with those. 1 would have done. So again, you can repeat that again now. So I'm going to do obesity next. So obesity increases the chance of developing CHD because, so again, I've got my lifestyle factor. It can lead to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes. So I'll links to all 3. Now again, I've just been a bit over the top there, put lots of them. But again, the whole point, I'm running out of room now. Obviously you can carry on the back of your page. So put 1 more down, absolutely now 6 marks there. Now notice how I've annotated the question. That way my brain isn't constantly trying to memorize them. I put the ideas down and I'm just trying to match them after that point. Just by not jotting them down, you'll get marks just for doing that alone. So it's worth doing. So my key message here is 6-mark questions. Please make sure you know where the and is, what are the 2 areas, and make sure you are linking them in the actual answer. That is how you're going to go beyond those 4 marks. I hope this has helped. You have got another question you can practice. That's, I believe, on antibacterial resistance. So again, you might need to just remind yourself about the subject knowledge to help you there, but the concept's the same. What are the areas you're looking at? How can you put that link in there? Okay, enjoy the rest of your practice. Bye-bye.